Hi, hi Nilufar. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Great.
Yeah.
So interesting topic today. We're going to discuss about how fundraising efforts have been, benefited from the virtual event movement. How nonprofit charities or large companies can use virtual events and AI
Mm.
to, help in their fundraising efforts.
Right.
Yeah, so great for you to join. I know you've worked a lot in this industry this year,
Right.
and I'd love to get your opinions on that. So before we kick in, E2M On Air is the product of the E2M suite. It's one of the uh, most popular, I would say, leading platforms today to deliver a very holistic virtual event platform. So when I say holistic, it essentially means it covers literally all dimensions of holding a virtual event, right? So
Right.
whether it's a virtual expo, whether it's roundtables, whether it's pre-recorded video, streaming sessions, even the attendee app, and some of the new things like using text intelligence,
Right.
cadence, etc., to drive the fundraising efforts. So
Right.
I'm not going to do too much of the sales part today, Nilofer.
Yeah.
But roughly E2M, we focus on providing a digital twin because I think this year has shown that I think the hybrid event model is here to stay
Mm-hmm.
because the benefits, the whole experience of virtual events has shown that it's something that has to become an integral part of any major event that's happening now onwards. So it was great that our mission is resonating. And what we're really going to discuss it specifically is 5 tips, strategies of what we've done and what you could do to augment your virtual fundraising efforts, right?
Right.
So with that being the thing, I think we have roughly 30 minutes, Nilufar, and then we go on to roundtables. So, and and at the same time, if please free to chat on the right side. Feel free to make your points and questions, and we can respond on them in real time. So without further ado, let's jump in. Actually, let me skip this salesy slide. Yeah, so one of the many customers we have in this space, and Lucretia has been kind enough to give a testimonial here, talking about how one of the events that we did for them, where about 1,000 plus guests were there, and how that event was successful. And since then, we've done many more events for them and other nonprofits around the world. But I would say when I say around the world, I think mostly it has been around in the US and in the UK to some extent.
Right.
Okay, so now getting into the meat of the session, let us first start with using AI to automate text to donate. So, Nilufar, this is where I would like you to pitch in because we know that text to donate is a very popular and standard way of,
Texting your donation.
getting
Yeah.
pledges, right? Getting
Right.
donors to pledge instantly, and then they follow up with completing that pledge,
Right.
either with credit card or any other form of payment.
Right.
Um, we also see in the UK sometimes they use QR code, but essentially it's a uh, similar practice where text to donate, and the fact that it's so ubiquitous that the audience, it's very easy for people to understand text to donate. So could you tell me, for how, for example, you used AI to augment the conversation. So just before you do that, this is how, for example, people popularized by giving text to donate messages. We even have, and it's a very popular tool, right? So over here also you can see that texting and then donating, it's a very popular tool. uh, but I'd like your views, Nilufar, on how AI specifically has helped in the text to donate function.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So, typically, what happens is like when you use any number to, get the donations or text to donate. So it's just a message, typical message that has to be in a particular format
Right.
that the donor needs to send,
Right.
and it has to be like the name should be at the first, or maybe the donation amount at the. It's a predefined format. which must be followed, then only the message get a response, and where you can complete your donation process by making the payment. When we used the AI, how it helped was that there was no limitation, there was no constraints on how the donor will send the message. It was
Okay.
simply said that you can just text your message to donation. So a
Right.
lot of people, we noticed that they didn't type the donation message. Instead, they landed up saying hi.
Hmm.
So if it would have been a regular number where you type in hi, probably you'd have received a message where it says, I'm not understanding what you're saying. But in this case, what happened when you said hello, the
Hmm.
bot responded with a very warm message of, like, welcome to this
Something like
event.
that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And please text us your donation amount followed by the name and your donation message, if any.
Right.
So that's how, so the donor knows how I'm supposed to send the message. And let's say for some reason, there were a lot of cases where the donor missed the donation amount. They typed the message and the donation amount was missing. So how AI helped was, if the donation amount was missing, the AI immediately prompt the user that, sorry, I didn't have the donation amount you mentioned, so
Sure.
please can you clarify. So this is where the AI actually helped in, expanding the conversation, and also, make it more like not a typical where you just send a message and you it's what is not predefined, and it was not restricted to just receiving the donation message.
Hmm.
Also, we had a lot of FAQs trained, like very typical questions, like we had like, how can I pay my pledge? So all these questions were also taken care of because of the help of AI. Yeah.
Understood. So essentially, the benefit is one. People don't get kicked out of the platform. They can
Yes.
type literally anything.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
almost like a human responding to it, right? Though
Absolutely.
though it's a robot, but it's a human. It can understand the language, and even if somebody, so what would happen if somebody just said, uh, uh, somebody just instead of donating, they just asked a question that how much should I donate, or what does your organization do, or what does it do to for this? Something that's not a direct donation, but maybe a query, or sometimes it could be just what's the weather in New York City, something
Yeah.
totally
Right.
unrelated. So
Right.
how
So
does it
in
handle those kind of situations?
Right. In that case, the bot was trained to respond with a very a specific message where it would say that, I am specific. I'm waiting for your donation message, and please send us your donation
Hmm.
message. And I have been trained in such way that, I am limited to this particular information. So you just provide me that.
Right,
So it's not like, so you can just ask anything, and the bot would always redirect you to, make a donation,
right. So,
so
but
that you don't.
potentially it could answer anything, right? If you're
Yes,
trained bot, then it
of
could be a
course.
full conversation agent.
Right, like in the example, you can see the donor landed up saying thank you, and the bot
Yeah,
responded yes, anytime.
anytime. Yeah, that
So
was
that's a
beautiful. It's a
human
nice
thing.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
another thing I noticed is that there is use of emojis. Now that
Correct.
was not expected. So you allow full use of emojis, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because when people send their donation message, they land up
Right,
sending a lot of emoticons and everything,
right, right,
and they would expect that emoticons to come on the screen as well when we were
right,
displaying those messages. So it
right,
was very important to have the bot to take care of those emoticons and display it as it is. Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
And what are we seeing here, Nilufar, on this screen?
Okay. So this is the moderator screen where all the messages that were coming to the bot. So at the moderator at the back end could moderate all the messages that were coming in,
Mm,
and they can publish it accordingly. So this gives them the flexibility, the control to review all the messages. Let's say some messages had typos, so they could just
mm.
correct
Edited.
the
Yeah,
typos. Yeah, edit the
yeah.
typos, and a lot of the messages wouldn't have the names and everything. So we took care of, like, identifying the name of the donor and everything, and accordingly
Mm.
you can publish. So this is basically the moderator screen which you're seeing, which the
Right.
moderator would be reviewing the messages and publishing it. Yeah.
So when you say publishing, is it what do you mean? Is it something like this? Is it?
Right.
Right.
So you have this live event going on, right? And this message has come up where you say that text your donation to this number.
Mm.
So once you text the donation, the messages that you have sent gets published over here. So the term they use in the event is basically pace setter. So that space set up the pace for for the donation, and that's how people are encouraged to donate more. Yeah.
So others get motivated by when seeing like
Yes,
a ticker,
definitely.
like a
Right.
ticker of the donations. That's
Right.
fantastic. And you
Right.
can embed this sticker anyway or any place.
Anywhere. Anywhere. It can be on your website. It can be anywhere you want.
Understood. That's
Yep.
beautiful. So it's not just like a message in the which is unknown to others. So there's a bit of a social element where you send your donation, but then others see your donation, and then it
Correct.
sort of drives a
Yes.
cycle where people,
Absolutely.
and we've had some surprises, although we cannot share specifics, but we've had surprises, right, where people have donated in the high, I would say, six figures, right?
Yes.
And that
Absolutely.
was that was pretty amazing. I think
Yep.
the organizers got little
Very.
very positively surprised.
Yes.
It was an existing. I remember those were existing donors, and they using a text. If you start donating in upwards of $6 figures, then
Yes.
that's amazing.
Yes.
So yeah. So I think the takeaway from this is, one is, for example, enhanced use, things like emojis, etc., which really display you know, the character or the true feeling. Then, of
Absolutely.
course, the ability to publish and share the pledges,
Exactly.
and finally the fact that it's not just a one message thing. It's almost like a two-way back and forth. Uh,
Absolutely.
and when you do a two-way back and forth, what's the end benefit? The end benefit is you get a larger coverage of donors, donating to the cause. So
Right.
that's great. So thanks for that. So let's move on to the next one. So point number two, or strategy number two, cadence to complete pledges.
Right.
This is, I think this might be new for our folks and customers in the nonprofit world. Um, I know this is popular in the B2B marketing space and the B2B sort of corporate kind of marketing situations. So Nilufar, can you tell me more about what this really means?
Okay.
What do you mean by this?
So typically, what happens is when the donor sends the message for a donation, so that is basically a pledge where I am committing that I would like to donate.
And that could be, sorry, just to add to
Yes.
that, that could be a text, or that could have been anything. That could have been
Anything.
email,
That could have been a phone call also
phone
that I
call.
would like to
Oh, lovely.
donate
Okay.
also. Yeah,
Right,
right.
right,
So what happens is most of the donor land up making the payment then and there, but
right.
there are a lot of the donors where they have met the pledge, but the payment has not been done. So how do I reach out to those donors and seek them to complete their pledges?
Mhm.
So this is where this AI-based reminder, which you can say, or
Right,
the kid marketing came into picture,
right.
where we would follow up with the donor who had attended the event and who had pledged,
Mhm.
and the payment is still pending. So the AI helped to follow up with those donors on a regular basis. That could be like, after a certain interval, let's say once a week, or after two after immediately after the event. So that's how the AI used to follow up, saying that you had pledged for so and so amount, so please complete your pledge by making a payment on this link. So the good thing about this was it was not just limited to following up over just email. This time we were able to follow up with them over SMS.
Wow. So
So
text and SMS both. Okay.
yes, 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 yes,
Okay.
and email as well. So eventually we also follow up with some of the donors over email who were not responding over the messages.
Hmm.
So these are the different channels which we used to follow up with the donors to complete their pledges. And it was really, really successful because our post event, during the event, they did some good amount of collection.
Right.
But after the event was over, this really helped them to complete the collections that they had targeted for the event.
Hmm. Hmm. So what would happen if, like, somebody just said, I have donated elsewhere, or I have already donated maybe directly, or I've already mailed in a check,
Mhm.
uh, or I want to reconsider this, please do not follow up, those kind of things. How do you deal with
Okay.
those situations? Because
Okay.
this, yeah.
Yeah. So there were two things which could happen. First is either the donor would complete the payment and
Mhm.
complete the donation. In that case, the follow up would immediately stop. So
Okay.
the that is one part.
So
Second
it's
part
linked
is,
to your backend e-commerce.
yes, of course, it is linked to our backend. So the moment the person does the payment, it
Right.
immediately gives a signal to the backend that stop this follow up. So the
Right.
follow up stops. Yeah.
Right.
The second thing which we noticed happening was they landed up asking a different question itself. You
Okay.
know, so in that case, what helped, how it worked was the bot was, it was since the response would come and the bot was already trained on a lot of FAQs.
Hmm.
So the bot would answer, and also we had an option of, where we call it as a co-pilot mode, where the question is if it is literally, out of the topic,
Hmm.
then the moderator would just chip in and respond to that particular query. If it is really specific, like if someone says that, I want to make the donation by check.
Hmm.
So, can you send somebody to collect my check or something like that? In that
Right.
case, what we would do is the moderator would respond back to that conversation, and we have an option of
Hmm.
stopping that follow up. So over here, you can see on the screen that we have a stop button on the type on the
Right.
right corner,
Right.
which
Right.
would stop the follow up. So there were two ways you can stop the follow up. One is you can automatically it gets stopped when the payment has been done. But
Hmm.
if the payment has been done on an offline mode, let's say check,
Right.
in that case, you have to stop it manually. So over that you can do over here.
Understood.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Beautiful. So this really, so I think combining these text to donate versus a cadence,
Mm-hmm.
essentially what we're doing here is expanding the, you can say the productivity of the pledges or the
Absolutely.
commitments, right?
Right.
Increasing the number of people who are willing to donate by making it social, by
Mm-hmm.
showing the donate messages to everybody, and then trying to increase the coverage of the. Uh,
Exactly.
Lovely. That's beautiful. So moving on. So this was the second. So the third is virtual tables, and I think this is something where in many of these events, especially the events that happen in a traditional way, right? They have tables and they buy tickets to the tables.
Right.
Now, now I think the same format has been used now virtually, where you could potentially monetize in terms of having the way you send tickets to the events
Mm-hmm.
for fundraising. You could sell, hosted roundtables, and it's a group of people, and there's going to be pre-assigned or open. So when it's pre-assigned, you automatically, you go into that table. But then let's just let's say some of the celebrities, etc., they have the ability to hop from one table to another, right? So if it's
Okay.
a gala and you have a celebrity singer or a celebrity or a CEO, for example, of the key headline sponsor, he has the ability to go from one table to another. So where do you see? So this is just an example of how one of the sessions was going on. So it runs on the browser. It allows people to talk to each other and exchange, for example, about the cause that they support, either with other donors, or say from the researchers, or say from the
Mhm.
frontline staff, etc. So you know in terms of benefits, Nilufar, what have you seen? Like how are virtual tables or breakout rooms sort of changing the whole experience for donors and the other stakeholders in the virtual event?
So one thing I had noticed was it was like a great thing where you can, the donors could, collaborate and see
Mm.
when it's a live event, you are just simply watching the event, and this
Right.
roundtable actually gave them the opportunity to collaborate and
Collaborate,
yes,
discuss their own
discuss
experiences.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that was a great part,
Okay.
which happened actually virtually, and it was really good
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, and
Actually,
also I think in any non-profit, or whether it's a cause that's run by a large company, say by Goldman Sachs, etc.,
hmm.
they they often have some people who donate, right, or contribute to the cause.
Right.
Then there are some people who are sort of executing the cause, or enacting the cause. Like for example, if it's for helping the schools, the actual process of making sure that money is
Exactly.
utilized,
Mhm.
whether it's research, whether it's for making sure there's adequate food supplies, for education, for health. So there's always the doers who are
Right.
using the money and the funds to do,
Right.
uh, complete the focus and the objective of the non-profit, and then there are of course the givers or the donors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the what I've seen is that a lot of these virtual tables, it gives them a platform to really see where their money is going, what is being
Right.
done.
Exactly.
Ask them questions of, okay,
Question.
what can we do more, and it
Right.
also gives the opportunity for the the other the sort of doers, if I may call them,
Mm-hmm.
to explain what they're doing, and in turn ask donors, what is their motivation, how do they feel, so I think it's one of probably the most defining things of how virtual events can take place. It gives a voice to everybody.
Right. Absolutely.
It's amazing. And then of course, even if you have uh, you know some celebrities, in often these events have some form of celebrity, or if
Mm-hmm.
not a celebrity, then at least someone you would not get the chance to speak on a regular basis. It
Absolutely
allows
right.
you to get on a one-to-one, or at least in a group of say 5 to 8 people, and have a conversation. So it's almost like a lunch with Warren Buffett kind of a thing, right?
Right.
Where
Right.
you get to speak to him, and then the money that you give is donated for a cause. So
Yes.
it's probably one of the most brilliant uses of technology. So moving forward to the fourth, how are we doing on time? We are good on time.
Yeah. So I think this is a very interesting topic where pre-recorded stream versus live panels. So a lot of these days we are seeing that the live events, they prefer to have these pre-recorded streams of of the sessions.
Hmm.
So would you like to enlighten us about this? How this has, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you see from a strategy perspective, I think what we are seeing is the combination of both, right?
Okay.
So if you see, let's say, for example, if you watch some of the, let's say, Apple, for example, did their event recently.
Mm-hmm.
They did 2 or 3 events in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
announcing the iPhone 12, etc. All of that was pre-recorded, right? So that was
Right.
pre-recorded
Okay.
and streamed. At the same time, when you have multiple people in different time zones, and when you want to embed a lot of certain videos, or sometimes when you want somebody's in the studio, like a hybrid event, and somebody's offline,
Mm-hmm.
we are seeing people using pre-recorded as well, because if you have some entertainment which is scheduled in, and
Mm-hmm.
that's an entertainment which was performed a few days ago or a few weeks ago, so at that moment, I think pre-recorded definitely has an element, but it's streamed live. So which means that you cannot go and rewind it and pause it
All
and
right.
forward it at front. So it's streamed as live. So we call it simulated live.
Okay. All
And
right.
that's really, I would say, one of the big important pieces. In fact, what we are doing today
Mm-hmm.
is just to show this feature. What we did was just in the morning today itself, we recorded this particular discussion, and it is being streamed live,
Like,
right? And then we're going to have virtual tables both before this and after this to show the uh, live experience. So there is an element, as it says, there is the certainty of pre-recorded. It of course reduces risk,
of
because
course.
you can make sure you do the edits, etc. But
Right.
there's of course the spontaneity of live,
Mm-hmm.
and also the fact that some Q&A can happen only if you're live. Uh,
Right.
some form of real-time engagement can only happen if you're live. So this is just um, a brief highlight of the two options, but really these are not either or. Nilufar. These are
Okay.
not neither or. I think you need both as a key part of what you do. And then of
Right.
course, if it's an event which you're okay to make it public, then we have the ability to restream, or what we call simulcast, to YouTube and Facebook Live. So while
Oh,
it's happening on your platform, at the same time it's going to these two platforms and even more. But I think
oh,
YouTube and Facebook Live are pretty much the most popular consumer platforms. But I mean, you could go to any RTMP ingest platform, whether it's Twitch or whether it's Twitter, for example. You could choose any.
that's great.
Yeah. So this is an example. For example, the something that's going live on a platform, which is a live stream, which in real time. Uh, and at the same time, this is again a real actual screenshot of a live
Of a life.
session. Yeah, where
Oh,
BNI was using. BNI is a large association
yeah.
uh, which use us for their many events for making sure that the engagement happens. And at the same time, you can see this was a school uh,
Okay.
using it for a real-time engagement. So this is a good example of where you would like, for example, a live session would be useful. Like for example,
Yeah.
the teachers actually opened a board, a vision board, or an idea board called Miro,
Okay.
and all the attendees are putting in, like ideas on post-its, and
Okay.
they're trying to, for example, see what they can come up with a minute. Now this of course cannot be pre-recorded
Of
because you're
course.
expecting attendees to go and contribute to this board in real time.
Of course. Yes.
So this is a clear case of where live stream
Okay.
would be applicable, right? But in
Absolutely.
some other cases, let's say you have entertainment, or where you have a lot of footage of video that's compiled together that you need
Hmm.
pre-recorded.
Okay.
So that was this I think while they are two different formats, however, it's, you know, I would suggest that both are used. You
Okay.
just need to make sure that where real-time engagement
Is
is
required.
required. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. On the other hand, I would say that if real-time engagement is not required, then it's always safer to
Go for
probably get it pre-recorded, make sure it works, and then have a more success with that.
yes.
Because
Absolutely.
in technology, there's always somebody whose camera is not working, whose video is not working,
Yes.
or their laptop is just having a bad day for some reason.
Yes. Yes.
And we all know that, no matter what you
Yeah.
do with 1,000 people or 5,000 people, there'll always be a small percentage, point 0.1, point 0.2, for example, who have a Wi-Fi issue. I think until you have an issue with your Wi-Fi, nobody believes that you can have an issue with your Wi-Fi. But then when it happens, you wonder, how can it happen to me? Like
Yes.
in in today's age, how can Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi can
go
be an
down
issue.
on me? It always happens on other people who don't
Yes.
prepare well.
Yes. Right.
But
Absolutely.
it always happens. So yeah, I mean, I think the clear message is that if the real time engagement is zero or limited, then probably
Mm-hmm.
go for pre-recorded.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and if there's any form of real time engagement, then probably go for a live
The
stream.
right
Yeah.
session. Okay. Great. Great.
So coming to the fifth point, Nilufar, selfie
Yes.
walls. Now, what's this selfie about? Like, uh, you know, what is this? Let me get your perspective, and then I'll probably add mine.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, we had this pace setters where people were texting their donations. So
Hmm.
apart from that, the another way of this piece is called the selfie wall, where you can just the donor can just click a picture of themselves and send it to the team, and then they would just publish those images as well. So this was another way of sharing. So likewise, the way we did for the pace setters of displaying the messages that were coming in, they were using the pictures also to display during the event. So where you have this live pre-recorded stream going on, and at the bottom you can have these pictures coming in, rolling in. So it
Something
was
like
a very
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes. So it was a
Yeah.
very nice way of entertainment, and also a very nice way of
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah. I think one thing that has changed events. I mean, we all talk about technology and e-reg and all that, but I think one thing that's changed forever, no matter what kind of event, unless it's a very secure
Mm-hmm.
event, that's a different thing. But I think for 99% of the events, one thing that will happen is your attendees are going to click pictures from their phone. I think no matter
Absolutely,
what event it is, and
absolutely.
and a large percentage of that would be selfies, for
Ab-
sure.
Yes.
I think what we need to recognize that probably this is one reason. In fact, now if you see, many of the phones
Mhm.
have stopped selling based on other features, but their primary feature is the camera, the quality of the
Yeah,
camera. They no
yeah.
longer talk about the sound quality or the phone quality. Yeah. So they're
No,
talking about picture quality. And you
absolutely.
see that whether it's Android, iOS, doesn't matter. They all are talking about picture quality. And I think one thing that's changed the world is the fact that everybody's become a photographer, and
Hmm.
more so in an event, and more so in a fundraising event. Because see,
Yes.
many of these fundraising events have traditionally been where you go out for a gala in the evening or for a luncheon, and you specially dress very well, and you dress for a cause. It could be a color theme, it could be like in the UK, you have all those nice badges or those flower
Hmm.
elements that you put to indicate your your connection to the cause.
Correct.
Those small brooches, etc., that you buy and you put. So dressing up for events has not just been for fashion, but it's also been to indicate your cause. So if the theme is pink, then everybody's wearing pink.
Yes.
So it's always been like that. So I think that virtual event, one thing was missing, where you know your what you wear has been indicative of the cause that you support. And I think these photo walls and selfie walls have really brought that in. And in fact, for most of the parts, they are so successful that often the number of it's hard to even publish every image, because the event is not long enough. They get
Right.
so many pictures.
So many pictures. Correct.
And then we have this beautiful backend where the event planner can moderate, because you want to make sure that it's not it's not every image doesn't go automatically,
Right.
but the system does, for example, help in automatically cropping it, sizing it for
Oh.
the for the display
Oh.
bar. So the event planners don't need to open Photoshop or anything and do it. It automatically makes sure it's sized to the best possible way,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then the selected ones are streamed. You can also stream them in batches, and so it's probably really effective, really effective.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, really effective. So this is again showing that. So I think we are dot on time, Nilufar.
Yeah.
So for people who would want a personal demo or are looking to understand how they can use all of these that we've shown, or some of these, please do visit us at e2m.live, and schedule a demo. You can schedule a demo right away, and and then our demo team will be there, and we will give you a personalized demo. So that's not a problem. You're also welcome to join us in the roundtables, right? So just after this, we'll be automatically given options to join any of the roundtables. Please join those roundtables. Talk to us about anything. So if you want clarifications, if you want to, or even if you just want to share your experiences uh, in terms of how you can increase and benefit your fundraising efforts using virtual events, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for spending the time today. And thank you, Nilufar, for your insight on the bots and the cadence. I think for many, it would be an eye opener. And we look forward to speaking to you. And if you cannot make it now, please book a meeting, and our demo team will be happy to run you through the system.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, Nilufar. Thanks
Thank you.
everybody for
Thank you.
helping out, and take care, and see you in the roundtable very soon.